Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bible study. Hopefully, you're having a great day today. And today, we're going to continue our study of the Holy Spirit. And this next section that I want to cover is such an important part of the Bible study. And I think such an important part that we understand how the Holy Spirit indwells in us and empowers us. I thought I'd break it up into two different sections. So, part three and part four, we'll talk about how the Holy Spirit in us and empowers us. And I'll say this, the Holy Spirit. It does indwell in us, giving us power, spiritual strength. It transforms our character and enables an effective ministry. As the third person of the Trinity, the Holy Spirit gives us boldness to witness. It really does. It aids us in prayer and grants us spiritual gifts and enables victory over sin. So let's read this. These are just some notes that I prepared. Boldness for witnessing. The Holy Spirit provides courage to share the gospel and to testify about Jesus. He is transformative. He's part of our sanctification process, producing Christ like character, which is fruit of the Spirit. And we'll study that on Friday, and helping believers live godly lives. Supernatural gifts and ministry. He empowers individuals with gifts of wisdom and healing and prophecy for service, guidance and truth, convicting of sin and leading believers into spiritual truth, strength in weakness. He assists us in prayer, and especially during times of suffering or when words fail, and purpose and direction, preparing and guiding individuals into their specific roles in callings in life. And you know, let's study a couple of verses here. We're going to be in Acts 1, verse 8 first. This is Jesus talking. Jesus says, "But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth." Man, that's right there. That's just powerful stuff. And this is Jesus's promise to the disciples that the power through the Holy Spirit to be his witnesses, and starting in Jerusalem and expanding to the ends of the earth. And it really does act as a blueprint for the book of Acts. The Holy Spirit does. And that's the whole book of Acts is, and kind of focuses on an empowered evangelism rather than any kind of political evangelism that was going on. And here he's promising that they will receive the Holy Spirit, the power and the ability for purpose to serve as witnesses, sharing the story of Jesus, his resurrection, and the gospel message. And man, that must be powerful for them. So let's go to Acts 2, and we're going to read verses 1 through 13. And I'll read it. It says, "When the day of Pentecost came, they were all together in one place. Suddenly, a sound like a blowing of a violent wind came from the heaven and filled the whole house where they were sitting. They saw what seemed to be tongues of fire that separated and came to rest on each of them. All of them were filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in other tongues as the Spirit enabled them. Now there were staying in Jerusalem God fearing Jews from every nation under heaven. When they heard this sound, a crowd came together in bewilderment because each one of them heard their own language, being spoken. Utterly amazed, they asked, "Aren't all these who are speaking Galileans? Then how is it that each of us hears them in our native language? Parthians, Medes, Elementes, residents of Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, and Asia, Phrygia and Paraphilia, Egypt, and the parts of Libya near Cryan. That's Crete today. Visitors from Rome, both Jews and converts to Judaism, Cretans and Arabs. We hear them declaring the wonders of God in our own tongues. Amazed and perplexed, they ask one another, "What does this mean?" Somehow made fun of this. Some, however, made fun of them. they had had too much wine. I read that, and it is a long kind of read there, but what it's saying is that, they were preaching and people were hearing that in their own language. And, this event follows one where they were gathered in one place when a violent rushing wind filled the house and the tongues of fire appeared, settling on each of them. They were just filled with the Holy Spirit. Everyone there was filled with the Holy Spirit. And this is a miraculous speaking. The disciples begin to speak in each other's languages, languages that they didn't know, as the Spirit gave them utterance. So not only were they filled with the Holy Spirit, but the people who were hearing it were also filled with the Holy Spirit. And the crowd's response of the devout Jews, that every nation under heaven, were gathered in Jerusalem and was bewildered because each heard their own native language being spoken. And that the reaction, while many of them were amazed and perplexed and wondering, what does this mean? The others that mocked them, claiming that they were drunk, that they didn't really understand what was going on. I think that's kind of typical of today's society, that sometimes people see us filled with the Holy Spirit, or that we're trying to evangelize and trying to teach others about the Holy Spirit. They may see us and mock us, but we are called to be empowered by the Holy Spirit and sustain that. So everyone have a great day, and let's continue this study tomorrow.